Well, it's a very good morning, a very good afternoon, and for some of you, a very good evening. Welcome to the Coaching Cafe. My name is Dr. Natalie Ashdown. It's wonderful to be back here with you, either live or on your favorite streaming service, to continue our Coaching Cafe series on CEOs who coach. And today I'm very excited, delighted, in fact, to welcome to the line Dr. Ricki Smith, who is the CEO of ACNA. Hello, Ricki. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. A little nervous about it because I'm surrounded by experts, but I'm looking forward to sharing.
Oh, well, you're in a safe space, Ricki, because we love learning and we'll really enjoy learning from you as well. Before I begin, let me acknowledge the traditional owners, the custodians on the lands on which we all meet today, and their continuing connection to the land, waters, and communities of Australia, and the lands from all around the world where you might be joining us today, either live or on your favourite streaming service. We pay our respects to them, to elders past, present, and emerging, and elders from Indigenous communities from all around the world. So, for those of you that know me, I always get very excited and I talk too fast when I've got the opportunity to interview somebody. So, I will deliberately slow down and share with you that our series is all about interviews with CEOs who coach. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, we've been exploring how coaching forms part of an executive leadership style, and that's why we've asked Ricki to join us today. And why coaching matters, observations, why coaching matters to the organization, and observations that they might have around coaching as well. And for those of you that are new, we say welcome. We are all about creating a shared learning experience and having thought provoking conversations. For our regulars, welcome back. We really enjoy meeting with you at this time, either live or on your favorite streaming service. And we have just been doing the weather report from all around the world as well. We come together as a community to have these shared learning experiences, thought provoking conversations. And for those of you that are collecting your coach education professional development points, we have that available for you at the end of the session if you are listening to this live. So we've been exploring this theme that never has there been a better time for coaching. And with that in mind, I want to stop sharing and switch over to our interview so that we can really hear from Ricki and learn from your experiences, Ricki, as we go along. There we are. So, Ricki, once again, thank you so much for joining us on the line. And I wonder if you might start with us and share with us about ACNA. You're the CEO of ACNA, and perhaps you could, importantly share with us the great work that ACNA is doing in our community.
Happy to, thank you. So Access Care Network Australia is a long name, but we call it ACNA for short. Our job is to basically help about 100,000 people a year get access to the government-funded support that they need to be able to live good, independent lives. And so it's really about listening to about 100,000 people, unlocking from them what is great about their life, what they're struggling with, and try and help them come up with strategies to improve their life and also ultimately gain access to government funded services if required. We work primarily in the aged care sector, but we also work in out of hospital care and helping people get access to systems that are not necessarily aged care or disability. So that's what we do. And it's amazing. We have about 350 people across Australia. And for us, one of the challenges is most of our people work remotely. So they work by themselves and have since we started 15 years ago. Mm.
It's so wonderful to hear. And 100,000 people, I didn't realize how
Yeah,
many people
it's
you're
huge.
servicing in our community. And these are people that need services. They're vulnerable people in many
Mhm.
regards. So I suppose I want to say on behalf of our community, thank you so much for the work that you and your people do, Ricki. It's
Thank
really
you.
wonderful. I wonder if we might turn to your leadership style and perhaps kick off
Sure.
the conversation around that. And I know people have described you as a great coach, and I know that you'll be quite humble with that with that thinking. But I wonder if you might talk about how you've incorporated coaching, or what is your leadership style and approach, and how coaching might be a part of that leadership style.
Okay. I guess let me start with what I learned a very long time ago was the power of question. And I'll
Mhm.
tell you a story how that happened if you like. So I started my career in advertising and marketing, and I ended up working in a very large private health insurance fund. And I caught the eye of the CEO. I was a specialist, I was a marketing PR specialist. And I caught the eye of the CEO at some point in my early stages of my career there. And he used to pluck one person out of the organization, sort of junior middle management at my and give them an opportunity to be what now you might call a chief of staff. So someone who followed him around, who listened, who acted as his ears, and sometimes attended meetings on his behalf, but often just followed him around. There was a rule though when you were his chief of staff. It wasn't called that. And that rule was you couldn't say anything in the meeting, but at the end, you could ask a question. Uh-huh. And the person that replaced me, because it was a secondment, the person that took my role, my substantive role, wasn't doing what I would have done. He didn't understand the job very well. He didn't have the background. So I learnt the power of a good question. How do you ask a question that opens up the mind, that communicates to, to a wider audience if there, and that is a non-confrontational way of challenging? So I think that's where I started around the idea that you don't have to always tell people how to do it. Sometimes the best way to do it is to ask a really good question that opens up their mind. So I guess that's how sort of coaching started for me.
I love it because actually you're asking a great coaching question to answer the question. How do I ask a good question here so that I can open up people's minds? Is
Yeah.
the question you are asking yourself, which is in
Yeah.
fact a very good coaching question.
There you go. But back then, of
Summary.
course, this was 30 odd. I obviously look younger than I am. And this was 30 odd years ago, though. And things like coaching were not part of management learning.
Hmm.
It wasn't normal. And so it was one of those things that then I suddenly met people like Natalie and like others who said, gee, you're a good coach. And I went, what? What does that even mean? So, yeah. And then I had to do the research and I realized that maybe it is just unlocking people's potential through asking them really good questions.
Yes, I just love that. And we talk about the power of questions. And I think the one thing that I've noticed about ACNA is how your people actually ask great questions. And I know aged care has moved. It used to be
Yeah.
tell Mrs. X what she needs and what the services are and
Yeah.
give them a list. And I remember even my grandfather going through that process where
Mm.
give them a list of services and tell them
Yeah.
what they're entitled to and then tick that box. But I remember when that really big shift moved in aged care where it went to actually asking Mrs. X or Mr. X what did they need and what was
Yeah.
important to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was such a wonderful shift. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about what you've noticed there, too, Rick.
Yeah. So I think what I don't have a clinical background.
Mm,
I have a management background. And what I noticed was that when I first started in this sector was that it was a very clinically focused approach to supporting older people in particular. And so no disrespect to clinicians who may be watching this, but the best person to know what the impact of their health condition or their physical condition and so on is the person themselves.
mm,
And so we can never go in with an assumption. We always have to go in with an open mind. But also, this generation of older people, be different when I'm wanting services, I'm sure, but this generation of older people that we see now are very modest, they're very humble. I'm okay, I'll be okay. And so sometimes it takes really good questions to gain the trust and to help them understand that you are the control of your life. You're the expert in your life. Tell me how that health condition impacts on your life. And so we brought a coaching style into our organization for leadership, but we also I guess, trained people on how to ask really, really good questions and to unlock the knowledge and the experience of the person themselves, because nobody else can tell them what the impact of their health condition is on them.
It's so wonderful. I think it, and I am struggling even as myself as a daughter,
Mhm.
to make sure that the questions that I'm asking, say, my parents,
Yeah.
are open questions, that it's
Yes.
putting them in responsibility for their health.
Yeah.
Rather than telling them, "Mum, I think you need this," or "Mum, I think you need
Yeah.
that." So
Yeah.
it's like a human challenge, I think, that we have as
Yeah.
well,
It is.
taking that coaching approach, because we want the best for the people around us, but
Yeah.
taking that coaching approach, as you say, Ricki, truly does unlock the responsibility for, that the person knows is in the best position, I suppose.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is we find that a lot of people have done the same thing the same way all the time. So a good example of that might be somebody who has always their entire life done all of the laundry on a Monday.
Yeah.
Okay. And that started when they had 5 kids, and now it's them and themselves, but their physicality has changed. And it sounds ridiculous, but it's true that they've done it. It's become such a habit that sometimes you just have to ask, well, why do you do it all in one day?
Yeah.
Is it, what if you were to consider doing it over multiple days? How would that help? So sometimes, and I think that's the power of learning how to ask really good questions that open the mind, because you'd be surprised how many times people would say, I've always done it that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's really trying to, I'm really hearing that seeking to understand first. So
Yeah.
we're seeking to understand, why do they do it that way, or
Yeah.
what's behind it,
Yeah.
and how might we do it better, or how might we assist you and support you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, thank you. And Ricki, people who are listening may not be aware actually of the very, very significant reforms
Hmm.
that have happened in your industry over the last 18 months to 2 years. And the turmoil that it's created
Yeah.
across the sector. Um, you've actually shared with me how a coaching approach has enabled you and your leadership team to navigate those challenges. So I wonder if
Yeah.
you might share a little bit more about that with us.
Sure. And I think the concept, let me explain how we on. Is it okay if I take a minute and we explain what our quality system is? Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
So, because it kind of all ties together. So, I think the first principle is our team, for the most part, work independently. So, they have somebody who's there to support them, but they don't see them. They don't have their eyes on them. Most of the time, they're in a consumer's home, in an older person's home, for example, doing assessment. And so, what we have to do is we had to find a really good way of identifying really good people. And so, we have a really robust recruitment process, which we don't have time to talk about today, I'm sure. But it's about hiring adults who are independent. Okay. We then want to follow that up with saying to people, this is what good looks like. This is what you need to be able to do. And our 12-week sort of induction period for an assessor, for example, is all about helping them get from where they are now, which may have been there might be a clinician, for example, who has had no experience in aged care assessment, who has to learn the tools, but they also have to learn how we do things. So we say to them right up front, we're here for 12, we're going to be here to support you all the way through. But importantly, this is what good looks like. Also, this is how good is measured, whether it's by us or by a department. And this is how we support you get there. And that then turns into so you've done your training, we've supported you all the way through. We use coaching to help them to learn their new skills, to unlock what they already have inherent in them, unlock it. But then once you've been through all of that and you're now a full-time, qualified assessor, we then keep doing that. So we don't have annual performance reviews. We have quarterly coaching conversations where we bring multiple points of evidence. We observe you. We bring your client feedback. We bring, the documentation audits that we do. We bring all that to them, all of which they've seen up front. They know ahead of time this is how we're measuring. and we have a conversation about how is that going? Here's an area of strength. Here's an area we might want to help. What do you think? And overall, it's been really successful. Now, through the reforms, it's been clear that when we don't follow that process, things don't work as well because we had to suddenly hire 200 people around Australia with very little notice. And, we didn't invest the time we needed in having all of our leaders be great coaches because we're running too fast. Now we're backtracking and going, okay, the principle was always there. Let's embed it now more strongly.
I can really hear the questions you're asking. So you are asking all those great coaching questions about what does good look like, and if that's what we're trying to measure, how do we measure that?
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing, Ricki, is you've actually embedded that into your systems. So
Yes.
it's what it sounds like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not like, oh, we're taking a coaching approach to this. It's built into the system from what I can hear.
Yeah. And it all started from a principle that you're an adult, that
Mm,
you come to work wanting to do a good job, but you don't know what good is until we tell you. So rather than do a supervision or a check in on check, we actually tell them up front because we want everyone to be successful. And that enables people to feel more confident and comfortable in saying, hey, I'm not doing this bit well. Or I always say to people, I meet everyone on their first day, and I always say the worst thing you can never, unless you plan to kill someone or hurt somebody, intentionally do that, there's nothing you can do that we can't fix if you tell us. So we have to create a culture where it's okay to say, I need help. I stuffed up. And that's what the coaching approach is all about. We
mm.
don't want to have managers. We want to have people who support you to be the success that we know you can be.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And I think inherent in everything that you're talking about, particularly when you're working with a large remote workforce, as you
Mm-hmm.
said, is it sounds to me like the trust you, I beg your pardon, it sounds to me that the processes and the approach you're taking really uh, is um, embedded in trust. So
Yeah,
trust is almost at the center of everything
yeah,
you do. You trust them
that's
to
right.
do their jobs well,
Yep.
to
Yeah,
and
yeah,
of course it's measured, etc.
yeah.
But what would you say about the trust and how the approach is
Oh,
building that?
100%. And I will touch briefly on the recruitment process then, because I think that's where it starts. So with recruitment, typically people will have put in their CV and a letter of application and have an interview.
Mm,
Well, if you're really, really good at interviews, you're going to do great. If you're
mm,
not really, really good at interviews, you won't. So right from the very beginning, from our recruitment process, it's about giving people different ways of showing their talent. So just like in our quality system, we have multiple touch points. One of the things I hated about the old performance review process is you'd sit there and go, oh, far out, I have to do some performance reviews next week. Let me try and remember. Okay. So by having multiple points of evidence, that you don't have that recency effect. But we do that in recruitment as well because we want to see how people perform. We want to hear how they handle difficult situations. We want to put them under pressure, and that enables us to hire people that meet the requirements. And one of those requirements is that we believe in you, that we trust you. So
mm,
trust is absolutely from the very beginning inherent in our process. Yeah.
mm. And you're trusting in your people to deliver the services and in
Yeah.
to deliver the service. I'm thinking also, I don't know if this is taking it too far, but almost to unlock what the your clients need. So you're unlocking in your staff, and they're
Yeah.
unlocking in
That's right.
clients. It's
That's
like
right.
a kind of.
That's right. And to be honest, if you've got 300, we've got about 300 odd assessors who go into people's homes all day, every day, right?
Mm,
They only have an observation once a quarter. Okay. So frankly, they could do whatever they wanted when they're in that home. And unless we got a complaint, we would never know. So you have to hire people you can trust. And you have
mm.
to give them the skills and the knowledge and all of the support to be able to be the best people that they are. So yeah.
Oh, it's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
You've given us so many examples of, why coaching actually matters. It's such a great case study, really. Are there other things you're thinking about, Ricki, in terms of why does coaching matter, particularly with the remote workforce? Is it around decision making or other leadership
Yeah.
capabilities that you think coaching unlocks?
Well, I think what coaching also does is it enables people who are working remotely to be part of a team as well,
Mm,
because part of our approach might be that, let's say you're a brand new person, you've just started in the remote part of New South Wales, okay, and there's a peer working in that area. Our peers are also our coaches, so I think it unlocks team. I think it's a really good way of building a strong team, because it's not a competition, it's not performance. I mean, I don't say we don't back away from performance management as well if we need to, but it comes at a later stage. So I think it's really, really good at helping to build teams amongst remote workforces, so that everybody feels connected to, um, everyone understands what their role is, everybody can feel connected, and you don't spend a lot of time on, I don't know, like education that might not be suitable for one person, or it's only needed for one person. You really can personalize the support that we provide to an individual person. Yeah,
yeah, and I think it is that individual support that
yeah,
is really the benefit, and that we're talking
mm,
about here. That
mm.
yes, you have your guardrails or parameters that you need
Yep,
to work within, but it sounds to me that the individual assessor has the ability to really customize that support by asking the great question.
yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, the government reforms have been challenging. They've taken away some of the decision making that some of our clinicians in particular used to have, but that's being challenged by all sorts of people, including consumers themselves. But I guess, and that was a really tough time when. So, long story short, you used to make the decision, make the recommendations. There's now an algorithm
Mhm.
that guides the outcome for the consumer, which in some organizations they found really hard to deal with, and so did we to a certain extent. But because we right from the very beginning talked about the importance of you really listening, really understanding, really asking good questions, it means the information we're putting into the assessment that the algorithm uses, um, is solid. And there's been lots of cases. If you're from Australia and you've seen the media, there'll be lots of stories where somebody needed this and they got that. That hasn't happened in our organisation. I'm not saying we haven't differed in opinion, but it's within relatively narrow degree, whereas there've been some wildly varying. And I think it's just because we've really listened to the person and been able to understand what's behind it. So when we do fill out the tool that ends up with an algorithm, it's more accurate. Mm.
I just even love that approach,
Yeah,
taking a coaching approach to ensure that the algorithm is
yeah, does the best.
serving
Yeah,
the people that are right there in front of you. So
yeah, yeah.
wonderful. I know these conversations go so quickly, and I get to
Oh
this
my
point, I
goodness.
regret that it's almost time. So Ricki, I wonder, there's so much you've shared with us already, but I wonder, is there other insights or uh, something you'd like to share with us from a leadership or coaching point of view that you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah. I guess I'll leave you with something that is more about me and what I've learned over my way too many years in leadership roles. What I've learned is that what is now called authentic leadership, what is now called coaching, is actually just humans being humans and
Yeah.
being intensely interested in other people and caring about other people. And I think the labeling of these things, um, can take away some of the humanity, not with anyone on this call, obviously. No, but coaching has to be there for a reason, and not just because it's trendy. Authentic leadership is trendy now. I think there's always been authentic leaders out there. It's just we weren't labeling it before. So being a human, being intensely interested, um, I'm really excited that now it's become an accepted part of leadership. As a woman of a particular age who went through a very masculine um, career, a career surrounded by by men, where I was like the only woman, often in many cases, at an exec table. Um, it's nice to be able to be human, and I think that's what we do. We're humans. Let's acknowledge it, and let's support other humans to be the best they can be. And whether that's through being human ourselves, that's taking an interest in their lives, that's taking an interest in them being their best. That's really what coaching's all about to me.
It's such a lovely way to finish our
Yeah.
conversation, Ricki. It's reminding us absolutely. And I remember I got to interview a mentor of mine, Sir John Whitmore, considered the grandfather of coaching. And what you've shared with us today, he shared similar thoughts, 10, 15 years ago when the world was in turmoil and, there's
Yeah.
lots going on in our world now. He emphasized, as you have, that human experience, being humans, that these
Mm.
things that we call coaching or authentic leadership is really about being a human and bringing
Yeah.
that to the work we do.
Yeah.
I feel most emotional when I think about then your people and your team are then taking that humanity out
Yeah.
to the people in our community
Yeah.
that need it the most. So, thank you for the work you do. Thank you for sharing the thoughts and the your leadership experience and your approach. And I hope everyone feels just as inspired as I do
Oh,
by our
thank you.
conversation. So I'll leave it there and just with a very um, huge sense of gratefulness for the work you do,
Thank
Ricki,
you.
and your
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So, with that, everyone, I will pause the recording and we'll wait for just one moment. If you're waiting for your CCE, I can put that up. And yeah, all the hearts and acknowledgement are coming,
Oh,
Ricki. So,
thank you.
once again, as we say, everyone, enjoy your coaching.